What is meaning? We like to give labels to things. Definitions that make sense to us, but aren't always the truth. And I think that applies to the word meaning a lot. Because if meaning were something actually definable, then it would be something that you could read about and go and chase and find it easily. Because while there are some things that we can define that are difficult to obtain, meaning is one of those things, not in the sense of a physical act, but in the sense of something that can't truly be spoken in words. I think that meaning is something given to us by God. Even if we aren't believers, God gives us meaning. He gives us fulfillment in the things that we do. And I think that's why I've been silent for such a long time here. Because meaning has meant something different to me as I've changed and become a Christian. Meaning is no longer about what I can find, but about what God gives me. And that is difficult to come to terms with. Because it means eating your pride and realizing that none of the things that you've been trying to do have any bearing if there is not a power that is outside of your control involved in them. There are things that we do have control of. Like my hands being cold, I can turn on my heated gloves. But still more things that we can't control. At some point or another, every person realizes where their control ends and chaos begins. But perhaps as a Christian, the tale is told differently. Because what you find is that the meaning is no longer something you can hold on your hand. Is no longer something you can tangibly say, this is where I find it. You can point to the past and say that certain things had meaning, but it's harder to look towards the future and pick a path that leads you to meaning, because it's not that simple. From here on out, what I want to do is to come to learn God more deeply, to read the scriptures and find the meaning within them. Because for so long, I've tried to appeal to the masses. But were that something that I truly wanted, it would have shown. Even when things got hard, I would have kept going with my goal of making a video every week. But now I realize that that dream is nothing if the meaning within it does not come from God, if it is not grounded in faith. So that's the plan. Meaning will be found because it is something that I know where to find it. I don't know what it is. I don't think any person truly knows what it is. But it's something that can be found because it's something truthful, something honest, something buried deep within us that can be accessed if we only seek what we know to be the truth. When looking for meaning, so many of us look towards external sources. But if meaning were something that could be written down and stored for a lifetime, then all of the books we have, would be more than enough to bring meaning to your own life. I think that meaning is found when you take space. It's found when you wake up and decide not to check your phone. Because if meaning isn't information, if meaning isn't something that can be written down, only recorded, then it must also be true that to find it, you must go away from information. And what would that look like? If you no longer looked for something that wasn't there, and instead waited patiently for it to come, I think a lot of things would change. I think that meaning would be found. I used to imagine myself as a bringer of meaning, because I thought that the thoughts that I had bearing because of myself. But the sooner that one realizes that their accomplishments are by the grace of God, the sooner they can start helping people and trying to bring light to the world for God instead of for themselves. For just as no man is fit to be ruler of the world that we live in, so too is no man worthy to tell you what your meaning is. Because if meaning comes from God, it must be found through a connection to God. It must be found through seeking Him. Thank you for watching. I hope this video meant something to you.